Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing well. I can see the people waiting before we started. We got to give a few minutes to the Waheed brothers to join. We have Asr over here at 6:45. So in the masjid, and the masjid is right across from the room that I'm sitting in. Mohsin, how you doing? How you doing, brother? Sister Zainab, I think you asked a question as we were ending the session last night. I think it was you, if I recall correctly. If you remember the question, please ask again. Sister Aisha, how are you doing? Sister Sundus, mashallah. I know this brilliant star. I don't know your name, but I do know you're from Ohio because you asked me to come to Islamic Center of Mason. I couldn't come. Forgive me next time, inshallah. Sister Safiya, how you doing? Brother Shuruq. Kakuji from Pakistan, Lahore, Pakistan, mashallah. I don't know what time it is there, but subhanAllah, joining us from Lahore. Sister Asiya, yes, I am in etikaf. I'm in a room in the back of the masjid, and I did it last year from here too, actually, or two. I think it's been 2 years in a row, 2 3 years. I've been doing it from here. Last time I did it from a different room, so I'm in a different room today. Um, Brother Zaid, I'm trying desperately catch up onto the previous sessions and get up to date. Yeah, may Allah bless you. I hope you're enjoying and learning. Jazakallah khair for joining us from UK, man. May Allah bless you. If I had limited time in the last third of the night, is it better to recite Quran or do dua? Jazakallah khair. I would say alternate between the two, right? Because if you could do dua first, and if you have an attention span that you can make long dua, then do dua. Because Quran you can even pray. As Quran you can recite after suhoor finishes as well, and that's a very, very blessed time to recite Quran. Inna Quran al-Fajr kana mashhuda. Allah says in the Quran that the time of Fajr to recite Quran is witnessed by angels. So reciting Quran right after suhoor in our masjid or itikaf, what we do is we have dua. Then they eat suhoor. I mean, collective and individual dua, tahajjud. Then they eat suhoor, and right when suhoor finishes, everyone just sits in saf and just reads Quran till fajr. So that's a perfect time if you want to make it that sequence. You make dua, and then read Quran after suhoor. That's beautiful as well. So there's no problem with that. I would prioritize dua at that time. But if you haven't read your Quran for the day, your hizb that you're trying to read, the Prophet said in a hadith that a person who occupies himself with the Quran, and Quran, because of him or her reciting Quran, they couldn't make dua, I give them the best of what people ask for. So there's a hadith about the fact that Quran, if you're reciting it and it occupies you from asking, Allah will still give you what you need and more than that. So hopefully I answered your question. Layla and Zakaria send their salams from Orlando. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Layla and Zakaria, hopefully we'll see you soon, inshallah. If you pray, this is becoming a Q&A session. We'll start juz right now, reflections right now. If you pray tahajjud after Isha Tarawih and sleep, is it the same reward as waking up for it? See, the thing with tahajjud is Qiyamul Layl is a voluntary act that can be performed at any time after Isha Salah till Fajr time. So you get the reward of praying tahajjud after Isha if you pray. You get more reward if you wake up, because the word hajada means to wake up from sleep. And in the Nashiyat al-Layli ashadu wat'an wa aqwa muqila, Allah mentions that the one who wakes up, that person who wakes up is going to get more reward. But the fact is, if you think you're not going to be able to wake up on time, better to pray 2 rakats before you sleep, or 4 rakats before you sleep, and then also make intention to wake up and pray 2 rakats. But you will get the reward of tahajjud if you pray after Isha Salah. After Isha and Witr, you get the reward of tahajjud as well. So keep that in mind. I love moments of the Quran, following you since many years from France. I think I'm coming to France for the first time in May, inshallah, hopefully. Sister Maryam Mayman, may Allah bless you for joining us. I see you every single day on Facebook. May Allah bless you. Can we hear a great story with a great lesson from your father? May Allah bless you. I think today's juz, that's a good segue into today's juz. I am going to share a few things that I heard from my father about this juz, and he's not a mufassir, but he has a great reflection on this juz. So we'll start with that, inshallah. So the 23rd juz, of course, has Surah Yasin, Surah Safat, Surah Sad, and it ends with Surah Zumar. Okay, these are amazing. Dr. Keek, You got to pull his ear when you see him, inshallah. Just a little bit. You're his ammu, just a little bit. He's coming right now. He should be here any minute, inshallah. He said he'll be here any minute. So let me try to call him while I'm live. Let's see if he picks up. Bajan, because Dr. Al asked me, so let me see if Bajan picks up.
Please leave your message.
I went direct to voicemail. It's probably coming on. So we have this 23rd juz that has all these beautiful surahs. We spoke about Surah Yasin many times in moments of the Quran for the last few years. The Prophet said, if we don't know Surah Yasin memorized, I encourage all of us to memorize it and recite it daily in the morning. And the Prophet said, a person who recites Surah Yasin in the morning, Allah takes care of all their affairs of the day. A person who recites Surah Yasin in the evening, Allah takes care of all their affairs of the evening. A person came to Haji Abdul Rahman Sahib and Mu'ahsan Sahib Rahmatullahi Haji Sahib Rahmatullahi and Mu'ahsan Sahib Dhamma Barakatuhu. He came up to them and said to him that, Hadith says that if I recite Surah Yasin in the morning, the affairs of my days, all the affairs of my day will be taken care of. But um, I recited and I still have issues and my affairs are still not taken care of. And so, tell me some other wadifa. We like to hear new du'as and new numbers. Tell me something else I can recite or I can do that can help me. And so, Mu'ahsan Sahib said to him, well, just recite it 2 times. And if it doesn't work, recite it 3 times. Because the Prophet is telling us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that if you recite it in the morning, all the affairs of your day will be taken care of. So just recite it with yaqeen. And the only thing I have to tell you is recite it 2 times, recite it 3 times. So Surah Yasin should be, the Prophet said, I wish that Surah Yasin is in the heart of every believer, right? So we should when we recite Surah Yasin in the morning, a good way of doing that is Ishraq. We pray the Salah of Ishraq. We just recite Surah Yasin in Ishraq Salah, so we get the reward of Umrah and Hajj by reciting Surah Yasin. We get by reading Ishraq, we get the reward of Umrah and Hajj. By reciting Surah Yasin in Ishraq, basically you get the protection and the guarantee of the affairs of the day to be taken care of. So this is something that we should, all believers, all Muslims should start making a practice of wird of. In Surah Yasin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the stories of prophets, and that's what we're going to be speaking about today in Surah Safat and Surah Sad. Allah reveals these verses at the beginning of Surah Yasin. Yasin wal Quran al Hakim innaka lamin al mursalin ala sirat al mustaqim. I find these first passage to be so powerful. Imagine, the Prophet at the beginning of his effort to call people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's not getting the reaction that he expected. He's not getting the reaction. He's getting the opposite reaction. He's shocked. People calling him majnoon, people calling him sahir, people calling him kahin. Now, when someone says these negative remarks to you long enough, it starts impacting you. That's why you're not supposed to, as a teacher, you're not supposed to call students stupid, pagal. Sometimes back, like, may Allah forgive them, but teachers from different parts of the world, they have a habit of doing that. Pagal, beokoof, like this stuff. You say that long enough. That means dumb, stupid. You say that long enough to a person, it makes them lose their confidence. It has a very negative impact on them, right? So the Prophet is being called crazy over and over again. And the Prophet sallallahu is a human being. And so, Khadija is telling him, no, don't worry. Inna Allah la yukhzika abada. Allah will never forsake you. Allah is going to take care of you. The way Allah addresses this issue is not by telling the Prophet you're good. He reveals the entire surah down out of love for Habibullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he starts oath is only taken by a person who needs to prove that they're truthful. وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قِيلًا. Who can be more truthful than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He did not have to take an oath. And then what you're taking the oath by also emphasizes the oath itself. The oath, and then what you're taking oath by. Allah is taking an oath. Who's taking the oath? Allah is. What is he taking the oath by? Wal Quran al Hakim. Allah is taking the oath by Quran. Why is he taking the oath? And then he has 2 ta'keeds. Innaka la. Verily you, indeed, are from among the messengers. Innaka lamin al mursaleen. He doesn't say innaka Rasulullah or innaka la Rasulullah, where he said in another part in the Quran, he said, Wallahu ya'lamu innaka la Rasulu. He didn't say that either. Over here, he said, Innaka lamina al mursaleen. Verily, you are indeed from among the messengers. So now all the slurs that he heard, sometimes a son comes home, a son comes home, and subhanallah, he tells the father and mother that, I this is what this person said, this is what that person said, this is what that person said. My teacher said this, and the dad said, "Son, you're my son. You're amazing. You're good." That one compliment from someone that person loves, it just makes them forget everything else. So now the Prophet is hearing this from his family members, and all of a sudden he hears, "Inna kalami al mursaleen." O Prophet of Allah, you are among the messengers of Allah. You are among the messengers of Allah. And that's it. He forgot about everything else. It gave him the confidence. It made him feel so good. And another thing that's powerful, why did Allah say innaka la rasulu? He said innaka lamin al mursaleen ala siratim mustaqim. And you're on the truth, you're on the right path. Don't worry about what they're saying. I'm telling you and taking an oath by the Quran that you're on the right path. And so instead of saying innaka la rasulullah, he said innaka lamin al mursaleen. You know why? This is where we're going to talk about our next discussion. He's saying you are among the messengers, not you are a messenger of Allah. There is a direct and indirect message over here, right? Which is that there is a system in place for the messengers of Allah. So what they went through, you're going to go through. Number one. Number two, it gives someone comfort when they sometimes when they find out that someone else is also going through the same problem. It gives them comfort. You just now you sit with people. When my brother Abdul Rahman rahmatullahi passed away, the people who comforted us the most were the ones who also had loved ones that passed away at an early age, like a brother or a son. They were able to connect with us. They were able to comfort us that we were not on this path alone. These people also buried their brother or their child, and look at Allah's took care of them. They're living, and mashallah, they're happy, and they're making dua for their loved ones. So that the realization that you're not on this journey alone is so comforting itself. So like how beautiful is my Lord's words, that he doesn't say in this passage innaka rasulullah, because that's not going to give the comfort that the Prophet needed. He's saying innaka lamin al mursaleen, that you're among the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because now you're not alone, O Prophet of Allah. There's 100,000 plus prophets that came before you. You're on this journey with them together. And then the Prophet was just not, Allah told him here and then showed him in Isra Mi'raj, where they all prayed salah behind him. So that gives you so much comfort knowing that you're not on this path alone. Seeing what they went through and how they succeeded in dunya and akhirah. All right, khalas, this is part of life. This is part of the journey of da'wah. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about other messengers. Allah tells the Prophet about other messengers who weren't even messengers of Allah, but these people that helped them, the person who came from وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى, this person who was not even a prophet. There were 3 messengers that came, then Allah supported him with another person that came and helped him. وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Subhanallah, people of all the different stories that Allah could have mentioned in Surah Yasin, which is the heart of the Quran, the heart of that surah is the story of this man who we don't even know his name authentically. People say Habib Najjar, and he was one person who accepted Islam at that time. He comes وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى. He comes running. قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Come follow these messengers who are calling you towards Allah. اتَّبِعُوا مَنْ لَا يَسْأَلُكُمْ أَجْرًا وَهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. Follow those who have no expectation of return for their efforts and for what they're doing, and they're rightly guided. That's also very powerful. You look at Bilqis in the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam. She when she was told about when she read the letter of Sulaiman, she never asked to let me hear about another speech of his. Inni mursalatun ilayhim bihadiyatin fanadhiratun bima yarji'u al-mursalun. She said, listen, I'm going to send him an amazing gift. I'm going to send him I'm going to incentivize him with dunya. And then I'm going to watch and see what he does, not what he says. Because as a bearer of truth and as an ambassador of the Prophet ﷺ, People are not going to be reading the Quran and reading Hadith, but they're going to see they're going to see our actions. They're not going to be reading our books. They're going to be seeing our actions, and our actions is what's going to bring people closer to Deen or further from Deen. So she said, "Well, I'm going to send this gift to him and see what he does. Is he going to accept the gift and forget about the call, or what is he going to do?" And based on his response, Bilqis was going to make the decision. And we know, and she knew already that the Mursalun, the people of faith, the people of honor, the people of God, these people have a different way of dealing with dunya. So she already had that in mind. So subhanallah, we see in the story of Sulaiman, he doesn't even take it. What is this? Nothing. Get it out of here. And then because of that, she's fascinated and she comes and she accepts Islam. So over here, same thing. Ittabi'u man la yas'alukum ajran. Except follow those people. They have no self-interest. They're coming here for you, for a person to be an advisor, for your advice to be effective. You need four qualities, and messengers had all four qualities. And we can develop these four qualities. The first quality for to be a person that can even give advice. Otherwise, you shouldn't even give advice. The first quality a nasih should have is he should have love for the person who he's giving advice to. If you don't have love for the person, brother, make dua for the person. Don't give the person advice because your advice is not going to be effective. The second requirement for advice is that the person should be truthful. He should be known to be a truthful person because a truthful person's advice is more effective. He's not known or used to being a person who's exaggerating, who's speaking about things in the wrong way. No, truthful person. The third condition and requirement of being an effective advisor is you should care and you should have compassion and sympathy for the one you're giving advice to. You should care for that person from the depth of your heart. You should care for that person. And the fourth quality of an advisor you have to have is that your actions should be backing up your words. So they should be synchronized. All four things. Like a person could love his child, could be speaking of the truth, could care about his child, but then tell him not to smoke, but he's smoking himself. So the advice won't be as effective. Now look at the stories of these prophets and this person who's coming and saying, look, he has all these four requirements. What other benefit do they have? They just care about you. They love you. They care about you. They're truthful people. We know they're truthful people. And look at their actions. They're not coming here and causing corruption because they're coming to our communities as a source of blessing. So we should pay attention to them. Let's listen to what they have to say. And then he says, وَمَا لِيَ لَا أَعْبُدُ الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. And why should I not worship the one who has created me and to him we're all going to return? And then he goes on giving da'wah towards them. He says, إِنِّي آمَنْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ فَاسْمَعُونَ. Please, I'm from among you. I have believed in Allah. So listen to me. And his nation, they kill him. And as his soul leaves his body, it's قِيلَ دُخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ. It's told to him, enter into Jannah. And a person who cares about people in this world, wallahi, this person will also care about people in Akhirah. As soon as his soul leaves his body, he will say, Ya layta qawmi ya'lamun. Ya layta qawmi ya'lamun. I wish my people knew about how forgiving and how amazing and how loving Allah is and what He has waiting for us in Akhirah. I wish, Ya layta qawmi. Even then he doesn't forget because this person is so selfless that even when he's been given Jannah, he's still thinking about his people. Ya layta qawmi ya'lamun bima ghafara li rabbi wa ja'alani minal mukramin. That how Allah has forgiven me and made me among those who are honored. So this is Allah's first giving comfort to the Prophet by revealing the first few verses, and then describing to the Prophet this passage in which he is indirectly telling the Prophet and all of us who are the ambassadors of the Prophet ﷺ, that these are the qualities you need till death. We need these qualities that, maybe like the Prophet had this quality in Ta'if, that no, it's okay. Maybe someone from their family will accept Islam. When Tufail ibn Amr ad-Dawsi comes back and he says, Ya Rasulullah, nobody accepted Islam, my whole tribe, make dua against them. He says, Allah mahdi dawsan wa'ti bihim. Oh Allah, guide the people of this tribe and bring them to me in my life as people who accepted Islam. So you see this inner sympathy for people, this empathy. You see, brothers and sisters, I'll tell you something. We always look at the story of the woman who fed the dog, right? But there's an opposite story of that as well. You see this person, this woman who was immodest and did sins all her life. It comes in hadith, an authentic hadith, that Allah forgave her sins and granted her Jannah because she gave a thirsty dog some water. She put some water in her shoe and gave a thirsty dog water. It comes in another hadith, عُذِّبَتْ إِمْرَأَةٌ فِي بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلِ فِي هِرَّةٍ, that a woman was punished at the time of Bani Israel due to the way she treated a cat. ربطتها لا هي أطعمتها ولا هي تركتها تأكل من حشاش الأرض. That she tied this cat to a pole, didn't feed this cat, nor did she let this cat go around on its own so it could eat on its own. And she made this cat starve because she did not have sympathy for another creature of God, for another creation of Allah. Allah did not have sympathy on her. And because the other woman had sympathy, the quality over here is sympathy for people, the shafaqah. This other person had sympathy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave her because of her sympathy for people. That this, even though, subhanAllah, this brother keeps asking about Haji Sahab stories. I just remembered something. My father, one time he was with Haji Abdul Rahman Sahab. He's a great saint of our time, amazing man. And my father went up to him and said to him that, can you give me some dhikr I can recite before sleeping at night? Because, dhikr is something you can recite at bed, right? So he's laying down, can I do some dhikr? So Haji Abdul Rahman told him, he says, listen, when you lay down in your bed, I'll give you a very simple dhikr. Your dhikr means to remember, to contemplate over something, right? He said, I will tell you a very simple dhikr. When you lay down in your bed, right away, start thinking, how many commandments of Allah have been broken today on the face of the earth? And what have I done for it? What effort did I make? That I was reciting that poem earlier, I'll just recite it to you guys. It's a beautiful poem. I just memorized the first few lines, but the line that I want to recite to you is in Arabic. He says, subhanAllah, he says right here, فَمَا الْمَعْنَى بِأَنْ نَحْيَا فَلَا نُحْيِي بِنَا الدِّينَ. فَمَا الْمَعْنَى بِأَنْ نَحْيَا فَلَا نُحْيِي بِنَا الدِّينَ. This is what Hadith Wahab is saying to him. He says, what is the point of life and what is the point of life if we live, but through us living, deen is not revived, right? Through our living and through our existence, right? وَمَا الْمَعْنَى بِأَنْ نَجْتَرَ مَجْدًا مَاضِيًا فِينَا. He said, and what is the point of us getting nobility? Like, congratulations, you're a doctor, congratulations, you're this. If through us, the people of the past are not highlighted and their nobility is not revived, that people through us don't remember Khalid bin Walid. People through us, when they see us, they don't remember Aisha anha in a good way. People through us don't say, oh, subhanAllah, this is, mashallah, this man is so generous. Then imagine how generous the Prophet was. Man, this person is so forgiving. Imagine how forgiving Allah is. Imagine this is what it's supposed to be. Like, through you, we're supposed to revive the honor of the people of the past. And he says, what is the point of living if through us, while we're living, deen is not revived through us? This is a beautiful poem. I know that I'll say the first few lines of it in a second. So he said to Hadith Wahab, said to him, do this dhikr. He said, before you sleep at night, think of all the commandments of Allah that were broken that day. All right? Think of all the commandments of Allah that were broken on the face of the earth, in your community, in your home, in your family. And then think about what you did for it. The pain of the command of Allah being broken. And then the feeling of what have I done about it? And then the third thing, how about if these people die today? How about if they die like this? And they don't have the kalima, and they don't have the realization of who their Lord is. You know how painful it is. Painful it is to see a child in Mecca and Medina or somewhere who's running around trying to find his mother or her mother, crying, literally crying. You grab the child, try to help the child, or take him to the cops, and you see that, it just tears open your heart, But more painful than that is when the creation of Allah cannot identify their creator. That's so painful that you never knew who your Lord is. And that doesn't pain us. That used to pain the prophets. It wasn't the pain the prophets were going through, wasn't what they heard. It was the fate of those that said those things that gave them even more pain. What they said is fine, but the fate that what's going to happen to those people is what kept them awake at night. Not what they said. They weren't looking at, oh, he said this to me, he said to me, and that was bothering them all night. No, no, no. More painful than the word majnoon was the fate of those who said majnoon. That what's going to happen to them if they don't change. And that caused them so much pain. That pain only comes because you have love and sympathy for them. So Haji Abdul Rahman said at nighttime, think about how many commandments of Allah have been broken, the pain of that. What have you done for it? And what's going to happen to those people who did that? And the sympathy for them, make dua for them. And a similar thing is how many sunnahs of the Prophet were broken today. The pain of that. This is my Prophet's sunnah, my Prophet's lifestyle, my Habibs. What have you done to help and support that cause? And then the third thing he says, and what's going to happen to those who did it, right? So this is what he's saying. Ya layta qawmi ya'lamun bima ghafara li rabbi wa ja'alani min al-mukramin. I wish people knew about how Allah is so forgiving. We'll conclude with this surah. This is a very powerful verse in the surah. Allah has given us is one small short life, man. Choti si zindagi. Yesterday we're reading a book about some people that passed away like 30, 40 years ago, and it's like, hopefully we're none of us are going to be around 100 years later, and maybe people will be watching this and like, oh, look how bad camera this angle was, and today we think this is high technology. 100 years later, I mean, I don't want to be around. Like, khalas, we have to do our work and get to Jannah, inshallah, all of us, right? And the reality of life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of Surah Yasin, he describes in verse number 68. He says, وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسُ فِي الْخَلْقِ أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. He said, the one who we prolong their life, we start nunakkisu. Nakkisa means to reverse. We reverse them in their faculties. I'll tell you what that means. أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Don't they look at this and ponder over this and come to a realization about what life is actually about? What does this mean? As you grow older, brothers and sisters, and me myself, like someone was looking at my hair and saying, oh, your hair is falling and stuff. I'm like, Habibi, وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسُ فِي الْخَلْقِ أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. As you get older, your knees become weak. The difference is like when you were a baby, you were in a stroller being pushed by your father or mother. And when you get older, Allah is saying, now you're in a wheelchair being pushed by your son or your daughter, right? So this is the reality of life, is that Allah always tells us in the Quran to look at two different phases of a human being's life. One phase is فَلْيَنْظُرْ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ قُتِلَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا أَكْفَرَ مِنْ أَيِّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقَ. Look back at the dependency of a baby, how the baby is 100% dependent on the mother or the father. And not only that, look at the baby's dependency, number one, because without guardians, a baby can't do nothing. And the other thing about a child is so powerful is like you have this, this baby just came to the masjid today, 12-month old, just turned one. There'll be, say for example, 7 women sitting in the room, an aunt, sister, grandmother, and she will be playing with everybody. But when the baby needs something, when it wants to drink milk, when it needs a hug, when it needs comfort, the baby recognizes his or her mother. Bang! It just goes straight to the mother. Like a baby is dependent on the guardian, and like the baby identifies who is their guardian, that's Allah saying, look at the face of the baby and do that. You're dependent on Allah. Just because you can talk and walk and you can move around, don't think for 1 second that you got it. You still have to have the mind frame of faqir, that you're completely dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for every single thing. What one morsel, one sip of water, nothing we can do on our own. This is the mind frame, that mindset we should have. And then Allah says, look at the phase of the child that gets older towards the end of their life. Look at the level of dependency there. They forget things. They have to be helped to use a restroom. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who are never dependent on anybody else in this world and only dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the reality is we see that happening in front of our eyes. And that is the reality of life. And Allah saying, look at that. And remember, even in the phase that you're in, you're dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You may start thinking you're not, but you are. Ya ayyuhan nasu antumul fuqara'u ila Allah. And we went over this verse yesterday, that you are faqir. Faqir means dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so how does a dependent child cry when it needs something from its mother, from his mother? How does he cry? That's how we have to cry in front of Allah. مضطر أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. We are so dependent, so desperately in need of Allah, but our faculties, our strength, our resources sometimes deceive us by thinking that we are not. But we have to come back and have that mindset of a baby, and the mindset of that old man, that knows, khalas, like, without the people around me. And of course, the old man is not crying. And may Allah give them, health, and give our parents a long life with no dependency except for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet used to make dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min an urda ila adl al-umr. Allah, I seek refuge that I go back to a age of my life that which is an age where I'm completely dependent on people. So we don't become muhtaj. We are only, if we show our dependency only to Allah throughout our life, that's why the Prophet said, "Ta'arraf ila Allahi fi ar-rakha, ya'rifka fi ash-shidda." In the moments where you felt that you were a little bit independent, prosperity, young age, recognize Allah, run to Allah, be with Allah. يعرفك في الشدة. When you get older in your life, Allah will recognize who you were. Allah will recognize your voice. Allah will know who you are. He will know that, oh, you were that 18-year-old that used to come to the masjid. You were the one who used to, spend time in the masjid and read Quran and do i'tikaf and pray when you were young, even though you could have done other things. So today, as ta'arraf ilallah fi rakha, throughout at the time of prosperity, at the youth age, you want to beat dementia. You want to beat these diseases that come in old age. I have never seen people that are more honorable in their old age than those who worship Allah in their youth age. Wallahi, I've never seen. These people are like they have the most respect and honor and dignity you will ever see in anyone's. Like, they literally, you feel like these people are the kings of the world when you sit around these people. They're old, but they're just like, Allah has given them all the respect in the world because they respected Allah when they were young. That's why He's saying, وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسُ فِي الْخَلْقِ أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Don't you see that? So okay, make the decision right now. So if you're watching us sitting here and you're listening to this, you can all make an intention that we have to be among those who cry like the baby to get something from the mother, but we do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. We do it to Allah. We need to do it. We need to show our level of dependency. Allah loves when His servant shows dependency. Allah maghnini bil iftiqari ilayk. Right? One of the Salaf used to make dua, oh Allah, enrich me by making me more dependent of you. Make me rich by making me express my dependency on you. Allahumma aghnini bil iftiqari ilayk. Such a profound dua. May Allah bless all of you, inshallah. We just did some verses of Surah Yasin today. Surah Safat and Surah Sad and Surah Zumar. Surah Zumar has a different discussion at 24th juz, but these, in a nutshell, Surah Yasin is the introduction to the stories of prophets that are coming after in Surah Safat and Surah Sad, in which the prophets have the same level. Those four things I spoke about earlier. They have love for their ummah, they're truthful people, they have shafaqah, they have sympathy and compassion for their ummah, and their actions back up their words. So these people are inni lakum nasihun amin. Habibi, they used to say to the Prophet, I am for you a trustworthy advisor. And Allah is giving comfort to the Prophet through the first verses of Surah Yasin, and then this laying out some stories of prophets and of course the person who's not a prophet, to explain to the Prophet ﷺ, look at the level of shafaqah, look at the level of love these people had for their ummah, and this is what you need to develop in an extension, which is something we all need to develop. So may Allah bless all of you. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow. Shaykh Abdullah did not join us today. It's all good. We all forgive him. We'll tell him how much we missed him tomorrow. I'm in i'tikaf. I'll make dua for all of you guys, inshallah. And we'll do 24th juz tomorrow, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.